For anybody right now who's thinking about what can I do today to change my love life tomorrow or any circumstance, you have to start from zero. Meaning you strip away everything you knew, didn't know, whatever. If you could just start from zero and go on your next date without the baggage, without the anger, without the disappointment, without the storytelling, without all of those things, it's setting yourself to a point where, be clear, what do I really want? What do I want my dating life to look like? My romantic life to look like? My health to look like? It's like taking inventory of your life as it is, and also taking inventory of the person that you want to attract in your life.
Welcome to the Asian Dating Podcast. I'm your host, May Bugenhagen. I am the founder of Two Asian Matchmakers. I help men find a long-term partner. If they're looking for a lovely Asian woman, I am the matchmaker to help you out. Today, I have a very special guest who is actually an Asian matchmaker in Canada with over 30 years of experience. Carmelia Ray is a recognized powerhouse and relationship expert in online and offline dating. She brings an expansive set of skills to her remarkable work as a matchmaker, mentor, advisor, and coach, having helped 8,000 plus couples find love while supporting more than 65,000 singles to navigate relationships successfully. I'm going to put all of Carmelia's information in the show notes, but welcome to the show. How are you?
Oh my gosh, I am great. And, we almost ran into each other in Las Vegas. It didn't happen, but we tried. This is how crazy life is as a matchmaker and a mom and dealing with things. But we were in the same city and we didn't even get a chance to cross paths, but I felt your energy. So
Yes. Thank you, Carm. I know I finally got to hang out with you in Cancun. We go to matchmaking conferences together. We try to go every year, and I'm always following you on social media. But looking back, can you tell us, because I just said 30 plus years, like how did you get started when matchmaking and online dating wasn't even a thing?
Yeah, I've told this origin story for so long. I wish it was sexier, but it's not. Having said that, in 1992, I was like early 20s, and my ex-boyfriend, my high school sweetheart, we were still friends. He called me one day and he goes, "Carm, you should apply at this call center, this dating service called Together, and they're hiring right now." And I said, "Oh, what do I have to do?" "You have to make phone call. You have to book appointments for people who were interested in this dating service." And I said, "Okay." Like, I didn't know anything about a dating service. I had no, like, really, there wasn't online dating. There wasn't social media. Facebook didn't even exist yet. And Match.com launched in 95. So this is where people had to meet in real life, like church, bars, groups, friends, right? So the idea of this dating service, it was fun to me. And I had to be on the phone. I'm like, I get paid for that? Like, I thought, you're going to pay me to talk to single people? Awesome. And so I applied and I worked as a telemarketer, making phone calls. And that's what had me, speak to so many singles. That was my job. I literally dialed on a phone, rotary. I don't know if it was rotary. That's how old I am. Okay. And so that was my job. My job was booking appointments. And clearly I had a knack for it. I did really, really well. I booked a lot of appointments, and that led to more and more and more opportunities. And it turned into my career.
Would you say that for any new matchmakers out there looking to transition to this career, do they have to be an extrovert or outgoing, or you think anyone can do this job if they have the capacity to do it?
Really depends on the way a matchmaker structures their business. Because if someone's a matchmaker and they're working one-on-one with clients, you don't have to be an extrovert because you're not required to really be out there. Some matchmakers hire recruiters, or they will hire a marketing agency or a publicist or something so that they can generate the interest and awareness to their company. But as a matchmaker, when you're working one-on-one with a client, you don't have to be extroverted, but you certainly have to be able to have difficult conversation, be able to address important issues and not be shy about that. So I think that's a great question. I think it's always, my personal opinion is, if you are an introvert, then there are times where you need to be extroverted and maybe go to parties, or if your job is to recruit and that's your actual job, then I think it's an asset to have some extroversion. But I do know a lot of introverts that can do the job when they need to.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned that Match.com wasn't even out way back when.
Yeah.
And now you're seeing the advancements of AI. Like, how do you think AI plays a role in online dating? And then
Oh my goodness.
what are the pros and cons in your opinion?
Well, if you can YouTube uh, the use of AI, I think everybody is talking about ChatGPT and Jasper and all of these AI tools that will actually can have conversations for people, right? Where I think AI is a helpful tool, even for us as matchmakers and love professionals and date coaches. Sometimes if we need to write advice or we're stuck on an idea, we will ask the AI, hey, what are 5 ways to approach someone? And it will come up with 5 different ways to approach someone. What you have to be responsible for is that something you agree with, right? It's good for ideation. But if you're just going to tell AI to do something or write something, and you're not proofreading it, and you're not saying, hey, is this even in my voice? Do I agree with this information or not? That's where it becomes really important. There are people that if you ask the AI a question, like literally ask a question. Let's say somebody says, hey, would you like to do for a first date, a fun first date? I could literally go into AI and say, what are 10 fun first dates? It's going to spit out some things, right? Where, again, it's great when you have time to take that information and then spit it back. But if it's going to be like Cyrano de Bergerac, where you can't even have a conversation because you're relying on this AI to speak for you, that's where it becomes problematic. And the other thing is, I had a client come to me and go, look at the bio that this AI wrote for me, but I don't like basketball and I don't like volleyball and I don't like all these other sports. You can certainly inject that with whatever you want. So there's always going to be pros and cons with AI. AI can be great as a stimulator, or to be thought provoking, or again, ideation for you to, when you're stuck, I don't know what to say. One of the most challenging parts, and I'm sure you could agree with me, May, is people actually describing themselves. Like they have a hard time just describing themselves. And they also sometimes have a hard time communicating what they want in a partner, who they want in a partner. And when you research, whether you use ChatGPT or Google or a book or a friend, again, this is all information that you're gathering. It's really about how you're going to utilize that information and how you're going to structure it so that it really speaks to who you are. And so I think AI is valuable tools, but it also can be a crutch for some people when they're going to completely rely on it. And next thing you know, this eloquent conversation that they had with this person, now they're in front of them and they've stuck with things to say. That's problematic.
So, do you suggest if a woman is talking to a guy online, and does she or he need to ask, is that AI talking to me or is that really you? Like, how do we get to the bottom of, are they going to be so awkward in real life that they're not going to have any great conversation?
Well, the thing is, you know what? When you go to a lot of customer service desks and chat desks, like half the time, I really don't know if I'm speaking to I actually ask, is this a robot? Are you real? Like I actually ask that because boom, it's like that dot, and then this massive paragraph,
Yeah.
and that's AI. There's no way that somebody types that fast, right? I don't think that at this stage in the game, if you wanted to be cheeky, that you would say, hey, are you real or is that a robot? I don't necessarily think that is a question that one would ask. However, you can ask AI or this robot or what you think is AI a question that a robot's not going to know, right? Like, hey, so what color are my eyes? Right? What color is my shirt? Why are you asking? Just answer the question. I want to know what color my shirt is. Okay, great. You're not a robot. Like whatever. It's, you know what I mean? So I don't know. To answer your question, I think that people just need to know and look at the language, because sometimes it's a language barrier. But with AI being so sophisticated, it is going to be very hard to tell if you're talking to a real person. And I don't want to freak people out that are watching this, but it's very, very real. I just came from the Collision Conference in Toronto, which is one of the largest tech conferences on the planet. You could not tell in some cases if the person on the screen, as they were showing video regeneration and regenerative AI video, if it's a real person. Like, it's crazy right now.
It is very crazy. But
Yeah.
I mean, aside from all the AI stuff, if we're meeting people in real life, what are some tips that you would suggest people do in real life to make the best impression on somebody?
Ah, well, here's the thing. It always depends on where you are, where you're going, what setting you're in. I always share with my clients who are single that are stepping out the door. If they have a real intention to meet anybody anytime, and it's very intentional, May. Even if I'm going out shopping, right? And I'm grocery shopping, and if I want to look cute, there's a difference with you don't want to see me sometimes up in the morning. I wouldn't want to run into anybody. So tip number one is if you have any intention of meeting anybody outside of your home, you want to make sure that you look and feel great, right? Because you don't want to be the kind of person that's like hiding under a hat and you can't make contact because you're conscious about your clothing. If you are out there and you want to make contact with someone, eye contact's important. So it's being aware. It's taking technology away. A lot of times people use their phone as a crutch. And how can you engage with somebody when you're busy scrolling on Instagram or TikTok or whatever it is that you're doing? Aside from listening to this podcast, you are allowed to do that. But in any other context, put the technology away, right? As well, it's everything. A confidence, first impressions are lasting impressions, unfortunately. It takes 3 to 7 seconds for someone to make an instant decision about you. So how you show up, what you're wearing, your level of comfort, whether you know what to say or what not to say. I usually like to make a plan if I'm going to a conference. Like I went to Collision Conference. I knew who was going to be speaking. I got an attendee list. I had a hit list of people I wanted to approach and where they were going to be and how I wanted to approach them and what I was going to ask. It was all very, very thoughtfully considered when you're, and again, Collision is a high ticket conference. If you're going to go to a gala, a charity, a wedding, and you know that there's an opportunity to meet people, look your best, dress your best, have questions ready, be confident and be curious. If you know that, if you have a little context about people that are there in the room, like sometimes you go to an event and you kind of get an idea of who's coming. Sometimes now at events, even Facebook events or meetup groups, it shows who's all coming. You can do your homework and research in advance, not to be creepy about it and go, oh yeah, I read about you and I hear you like so-and-so. You want to be a little mindful of how much you want to share. That's kind of like your secret weapon, right? If you creeped somebody on Instagram and LinkedIn and Twitter, you probably don't want to tell them that you did all that. But you want to find the commonality between the two of you, right? You want to find that thing that's going to spark interest that you can both engage in, because people often, they like to talk about themselves, but you ever heard that phrase that people will never forget how you made them feel? That's what you have to bear in mind, is what is the energy that you're bringing to this interaction and how are you making the other person feel special? I think a lot of people are concerned about how do people make me feel special? And they have this expectation that, well, they better be asking me questions and they didn't compliment me. And now they're reacting to maybe bad somebody who's not skilled as a networking, somebody who's shy. Sometimes people interpret shyness as rudeness because they're not asking questions. Sometimes they just don't know what to do or don't know what to say. And so if I'm prepared and if I can have the icebreakers, then I'm responsible for that experience. I don't have to put it on someone else. And I think that's a really, really important lesson for people to get when they're out there meeting people for the first time.
So, would you suggest if you're going to a meetup group or a Facebook group that you just click over to see who's coming, kind of know the names? That way, if you're
Yes.
introduced to them, you'll remember their names. Or actually, my favorite thing to do is after I meet somebody, I go back and I take notes. Like today at the gym, I met two people. I'm like, okay, I might see these two people at the gym next time because I just started a new CrossFit gym. And I wrote down their names, how many kids they have, what kind of kids, what do they do for a living, and the spelling of their name, just to reflect, just to write down and take notes. And hopefully I will remember them, for my own memory's sake, not to be a stalker and, do any of that creepy stuff
Oh
he said.
yeah. 100%. When people meet me and they recall like, oh, you're the matchmaker, right? Or, oh, you have 3 kids. Oh yeah, I met your daughter, Michaela, right? I'm like, I'm impressed.
Yeah.
First of all, I need to do a better job of the note taking. I don't even want to say it into the universe that I'm horrible with names because I don't want to speak that into existence. I'm great with names. I remember everybody. I'm working on that. I am working towards that, right? But anytime there is acknowledgement or a recollection of an important piece of information, and it could be even something small, it makes somebody feel good and it has them feel like, oh, I made subconsciously, I made an impression on this person. This person likes me, right? We all want to be liked. We all want to be appreciated. And so if you did do that research in advance, I can't tell you how many times people will meet me in person, May, and if they say something like, oh my goodness, I really liked this, quote you said, or, oh, I couldn't wait to meet you because of this situation. It's like, oh, great. It just increases that level of enthusiasm and energy and connectedness, right? Whenever you can connect on something and compliment, I think those are two things that go hand in hand: connection, complimenting, chatting, confidence, all my favorite C words. These are things that are important. So if you do that little extra bit of research and you see that person, oh, hey, I recognize you. You're the one. You remember on Clubhouse days, I used to be a massive Clubhouser, right? And I would recognize people by their Clubhouse profile photo, like their avatar. And so if I saw somebody, oftentimes the avatar was like, and you see them and they really look like their person. I'm like, oh my God, you're the guy with the pink background, right? It's like, it's just fun. It's just fun when you can remember a piece of information about that person to help them stand out.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So let's say we all know you're a master networker and you can work the room and things like that. But what about someone who maybe is not a master networker and they're at a networking function? Like, what tips would you suggest a single person do that can A, let the person they're talking to know that they're single, and B, that they want to connect with others?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think that with anything, as a dating coach and a matchmaker, oftentimes, I like to set goals with clients. I'm not sure if you've talked to people before, or I'll just do the really quick version of the SMART goals, right? Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. I think when you go to a networking function and you're not a masterful networker, like how can you set a goal at the networking event where you come out with certain outcomes or contacts, right? The number one thing, typically, if you're at a networking event, you're there for a specific reason, whether it's activity based, whether it's community based, but it's around some topic or subject that everybody's interested in. So part of networking is being curious, asking questions. A lot of times, when you come up to somebody and you say, hey, do you know who the next speaker is? Or even if you say something, can you point me to the bathroom? Or I'm here on my own. Do you, like asking a question to somebody? And this is something that women like to do with men, even though, and their partners, even though they can reach the top shelf and they can grab the stool, go to their hubby. Oh, honey, can you grab that for? Oh, of course, I'm the man. I can grab that for you, right? You give people these opportunities to help out. So find those opportunities where you can ask questions, be curious, introduce yourself. Say you can say, "Hey, I came here on my own. Are you with anybody?" That's fair because people are there to connect. One of the things that people are kind of worried about is how are they going to feel around rejection, that fear of rejection. But we got to get, when you're at a networking event, that's the whole purpose. Other people want to network. So you have total permission to do that, especially at a networking event. If there's something that you can add value to, so for example, let's say you found something cool on the connection app, or you have a good resource, or hey, did you happen to know, if did you get the recording of the last talk? I actually have that recording. Would you like a copy of it? Whatever you can do to offer somebody something is also great. Too many people are looking to ask and get. When you can come in and have something to give, that's also really, really cool. So have that kind of in mind when it comes to networking, and think of it as something small. You don't have to meet every single person in the room. In fact, probably the fewer connections that you have that you can actually nurture and that you can follow up with is better than having 20 names of people that you said you're going to get back to and then you don't get back to them. I can be guilty of that at times. And other times I'm specifically going to an event to meet 1, 2, 3 key people, and that's it. Not that anybody else is a bonus, but I'm there to connect with a couple of key people so that I can build on that relationship instead of having 20 insignificant ones.
When you do the date coaching with your clients, do you give them goals like that? Like, hey, try to connect with 5 people that
100%.
okay, okay.
100%. I give them goals to have X number of conversations, spend an hour on this task, take a new hobby or interest by this date. I want you to, change your profile picture to this. You're missing this photo. You need this item of clothing. You need to have you can't perfect dating if you're not dating. So like, okay, who are you talking to? Let me see the conversation. Did you ask them out? Are you being proactive? Are you responsive? Of course, we have to challenge people. If we have people doing the same thing over and over again, is that really coaching? Like, okay, great. You did the same thing last week. What are we going to do this week? How do we ruffle your feathers? How do we make it uncomfortable? Listen, love is not comfortable. Stretching yourself is not comfortable. If you're feeling uncomfortable, that's great because there's growth there. It means that we are stretching you in a way, right? And when you stretch, it can be a little bit painful, but at the end of the day, you feel so much better because you're doing something different. Dating is daunting and dating can be challenging. And if you don't challenge yourself, you'll just stay the same. And I know a lot of people that don't want to be in the same boat that they were before after they work with me.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you believe that dating is a skill?
I think dating is absolutely a skill. Dressing is a skill. Organizing is a skill. Everything that we have that we, any personality trait, any habit, they're all skills. So dating is absolutely a skill. Is there a school for dating? No. There probably is now, but there's probably many schools for dating. I'll take that back. But when you work with a coach, when you work with a matchmaker, when you work with somebody who has more experience and different insight, yes, it's a skill that needs to be developed. And it's a skill for me as a coach to become a better coach. I'm always growing, always learning. Now we got to learn about AI. Now we got to teach people about how to watch for that kind of stuff. right? There's always new things to learn. Before, remember, 30 years ago, we didn't have online dating. Now I got to talk about online dating. Now I got to talk about video dating. It never stops. So, yes, it's a skill that everybody needs to keep working on.
How long do you think it takes for someone that's maybe on 1 to 10 scale of experience with dating? There may be a 5 or 6. They're not a virgin, but they have dated before. They haven't really had too many relationships. She maybe never had a boyfriend that she can introduce to her parents. How long would it take for someone like that to be a good dater? In your experience, how long would it take for you to work with them, develop them, help them with the dating skill for them to be an okay dater?
It will take as long as they are, as long as the effort that they put out, right? Because there are people, there's doers and there's thinkers and there's wannabeers, right? I want to do this and they don't do it. I'd like to and they don't. So you cannot be a better dater if you're not going on dates. That's number one, right? How long is it going to take? How long is it going to take for you to get dressed, get out of the house, go to a new event, introduce yourself, and do XYZ? How long is it going to take for you to get on a dating app, 2 or 3 or 4, hire a matchmaker, work with a coach? How long is going to be, how long and what effort that person is going to put into that search? Now, there are people that are listening to this that are probably saying, I'm making a lot of effort. I'm doing all the search. I'm still no closer to maybe finding that person. And it's really, now there's so many things you can look at. Are you looking for the right person? Are you showing up the right way? Like, because doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, we call that insanity, right? So everything can be improved. And when you keep doing, if something's not working, we need to change that, right? Sometimes you don't have the right coach. Sometimes you don't have the right platform. Other times you don't have the right language or the right communication. All of that requires effort. And I really truly believe the attitude matched with the action is going to make the biggest difference, because there's a lot of people with the action who have the wrong attitude. And they show up with that attitude on a date wondering why they can't land a great guy. Well, because you keep bitching about the guy you were dating before on the date. So it's so many things, May, that there is no right answer, but there's workability in everything. And there is a great way of doing things, like a productive way, effective way, and an ineffective way. So attitude and action have to be aligned, and you need to have that belief. People are dating with the subconscious belief that it's not going to work. It's already failed because, they did this already. I get that frustration. Believe me, I get that frustration, not just from a client's point of view. Many times in my life, in my personal life, in my professional life, I have experienced frustration. And when frustration is at the forefront of anything, what is that? Law of attraction? More and more of that same frustration comes around. It needs an actual massive shift, and it needs real focus and attention. No one ever said this is going to be easy. And the people who struggle are the ones that continue to have these bad habits. And I have coaches for many areas of my life because I have bad habits in different areas. People have a lot of bad dating habits. So it's a matter of getting the right coaching, having the right attitude, and sticking to that, however hard or easy that is. It's doing it when you don't want to.
So let's say they can't afford a dating coach. They don't want to hire a dating coach yet. They want to kind of do it on their own first. What would your advice be for somebody who kind of wants to do it on their own first before taking that leap of faith and hiring a dating coach and feeling like they're desperate or that they don't want to spend all that money on a date coach yet? Like, what should they do now to get started?
Well, there's two scenarios here. The scenario where one can't afford a coach, completely understand that. You have to be as creative as possible, get free resources, get free help, but get advice from somebody's whose relationship you like, or who's, giving advice that it's credible advice. That's the challenge when free is not always the best, in fact, right? So when you don't have resources, it's really about maybe finding a mentor. There's a lot of people in the world that are not aware that there's mentors that are available and people that they can meet that could be a mentor. If you sit at home, that's the other thing. Some of my best mentors and my best friends have always come from meeting at an event, being introduced. You can't change your circumstances when you're at home, worried like I'm broke, I don't have any money. Well, guess what? What do they say? You are the sum of the five people that you're around. Start getting around rich people. Start going to areas and neighborhoods where you can find a mentor or run into one. There's a lot of wealthy people that are generous. They have generosity with their time, generosity with their money, and they can afford it. So that's one thing I'll say to those people. For the people who don't want to or want to do it on their own, no, that's no problem. But I am such a big believer that you invest in the things that matter to you. You have to invest in the things that are the most important to you. If you're not willing to invest in a dating coach, invest in a matchmaker, my thought is the pain is not big enough, or your desire to make that change is not big enough, or you believe you already have what it takes to get the results that you want. And if you don't, then hire somebody, period. That's it. If there's no, then I don't want to use the word cheap, but then your priorities are misaligned. If it is a priority, you invest in it. If it's not a priority, you don't. That's as simple as it is. That's the way that I feel about that.
I agree. I like writing a check to get the shortcut. I mean,
100%.
why should I reinvent the wheel? Why should I try to spend 6 months or a year doing this when I could just hire somebody and have it like an easy fix? It's no different than hiring an attorney to help me with a law situation, or hiring a landscaper to get landscaping done. Like, can I do it? Yes, but it would take me a lot longer to figure it out. So I'm a big believer in shortcuts.
I remember when I left my full-time career, 18 years at a matchmaking company. I mean, I worked for several agencies, but I was top of my game. I just, I said I needed to go on my own. I met my business partner. Scariest thing I ever did in my life, to leave this high paying, guaranteed job. And, when I did, one of the biggest investments I made was working with a branding coach. And it's Lisa Stedman. I don't think she's doing that anymore, but she worked with Mattel. She created the Barbie brand. When she told me what her price tag was per hour to work with her, I nearly had a heart attack. Okay. I was like, ouch, and I had a 2-year runway because I left volunteering my full-time job that was paying me a lot of money monthly to no income. Every month for the next 2 years, I'm like, I have no income unless I make that income. But you know what? I knew that branding and getting clear on my goals, and I never had a business coach before because I was the employee, the employer training people. When I wrote that check to her for her branding services, and that time, it felt large, but it felt so good. And I got to tell you, one of the best investments I've ever made. And I've since made like wrote many checks like you have to coaches and mentors in the 5 figures and above, because I needed that coaching. I wanted that fast track, and I want to learn from the best.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love hiring business coaches now. I mean, I've hired a few in my time, and you just want to get better. You just want to go from here to here. And
absolutely,
if I'm going to cut a check and get there quicker, I might as well, right? So it's an investment. Yeah. I feel like you really need to invest in your love life, your career, your whatever it is, to make things better. So
100%.
Well, before I let you go, because our time is almost up, but what are some
that went by so quickly.
What are some last minute tips that you can give to people out there? Because you've been in the industry for 30 plus years, and that's a lot of great knowledge you have. But what are some things that you can give to the audience right away that if they just want to tweak their love lives a little bit or dating lives, what should they do?
Wow, what a great question. Very broad, but I'll answer it as best I can. When you think of, when you think of the new year, what do people do in January, right? It's almost like a reset. For anybody right now who's thinking about what can I do today to change my love life tomorrow or any circumstance, you have to start from zero. Meaning you strip away everything you knew, didn't know, whatever. If you could just start from zero and go on your next date without the baggage, without the anger, without the disappointment, without the storytelling, without all of those things, it's setting yourself to a point where what do I be clear? What do I really want? Right? What do I want my dating life to look like, my romantic life to look like, my health to look like? It's like taking inventory of your life as it is, and also taking inventory of the person that you want to attract in your life. And does it line up? Sometimes people have to get real. You are here and you want someone here, or you're here and you attract people here. Like, where is that balance? When's the last time you did a reset? When's the last time you looked at the qualities that you're looking for, the characteristics that you're looking for? I can't tell you how many times, May, and I'm sure you've heard it, people come to you and say, I'm so different than who I was 5 years ago. Post pandemic, some people have had life-changing things that happen. I recently had a life-changing event with the loss of a very, very, very dear friend of mine that I'm still grieving over. That loss in my life had changed a ton of perspective for me in my life, in my business, with my relationship with my children. It just really brought clarity to what matters to me. I know you've had things in your life that unless you experience it, you change from those things, right? So anybody who's looking for something new, start from ground zero. Be clear on what you're looking for, because oftentimes, you know what, we set the roadmap to relationship, that GPS to relationship, but we're stuck in traffic, right? We're stuck in traffic. People are yelling at us. We have road rage. We're spitting at people. Everyone's angry. And it's like, you know what? The destination to relationship is supposed to be fun. So if you're not having fun, figure out how to have fun, reset, take a break if you need to, but nobody needs to take a year long, okay? Unless there's some tragedy or something going on. So that's really what I think. People just need to get back to ground zero, write down what they want, know who they are, what they bring to the table, and have positive context of themselves. I think too many people have this negative context about themselves and what they don't have and what they don't bring. And that's all in the forefront, and that shows up on your date. And then you wonder why they don't want to see you again. So anyway, that was a mouthful.
Yeah, no. I love it. But are you saying that if you're going to take a dating pause, that it shouldn't be a year? Like if you take a break from dating, are you saying it should just be a couple months or
there's always circumstantial reason for taking a break. Certainly, again, I have friends in 12-step program. They say take a full year. You might have gone through a nasty divorce, a loss, a this or that. Take the appropriate time. But what I'm speaking about is a lot of times people who take breaks, they never turn it back on. It's like, oh yeah, about that relationship thing. Oh yeah, I have to make that a priority, right? You have to schedule things in your life when you're busy. I cannot tell you how many times people have come to me and now there's urgency because they waited too long. Hurry up, I need to meet somebody. Well, you waited. Now you're telling me to hurry up, right? So what I'm saying is take the appropriate amount of pause. And are you using the pause as an excuse because you're just exhausted from dating? Sometimes it's literally a mindset shift, having the right support, changing your environment. If you have people that all they talk about is nasty relationships and this person broke up and this person's miserable and this person cheated, like change that environment.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't want to be in a relationship if that's the only context of relationships I've ever had. Surround yourself with better people. Listen to your podcast. Fill your mind with more positive things. Look at inspirational couples. Elena Cardone, Grant Cardone, Jay-Z, Beyonce, whatever couple. You have to have an example to aspire to, right? I think that's where role models come in, and that's where mentors come in. Because if you don't see examples of that, if you have no idea what it's like to, what a good relationship is, what it's like to be treated great. I have a client right now, May. Oh my God, we did this in the meeting, myself and another matchmaker, Amber. We matched two clients. They're so great together. And you know what? I have to say, this is the first time that for my client, the female client, is saying, I have never been treated better in my whole life. And this was the first experience because she was used to being treated in a different way. And that was the norm. So until you get out of that and you acknowledge that you deserve it and you're worth it and you know what that she called me, goes, is this for it? Like, he wants to buy me this and take me, like, is this normal? I'm like, well, it's normal in some people's world. It's normal in your world now, you know? So she's never going back to the other way. Let me just say that.
Right. I love it. I love it. There are lots of ways and lots of helpful people out there that can help you. If you're not liking what you're doing in your life and you're not liking what you're doing in your dating life, your relationships, whatever that may be, I get help. I'm a big fan of it. I am a big fan of reading a ton of stuff. I'm a big fan about talking it out. I mean,
yeah,
podcast that I do is great. Like, I get to network with all my favorite matchmakers and pick your brain and get your ideas and your thoughts. And I felt like you were giving me a pep talk. Like, if I was single and I'm like frustrated with dating, like, this is the best podcast. Like, you just totally gave me a pep talk. Like, do this, May.
No, yeah. I give myself a pep talk, May. So thank you. This is the whole point, is like, you being here is a contribution to me because I get to share some of this, and then I get to hear myself and go, oh yeah, Carm, that's right, you just got to do that. So it was a contribution to me, and I really hope your audience benefited from that. And thank you for saying that. You invited me, and guess what? I'm like, let me choose the earliest date. Let me do it now, because I'm the kind of person that if I don't do it now, I might not do it. So there you go.
Way. Thank you, Carm. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being on the show. And ladies, I'm always looking for fabulous Asian women who want to be part of my database so I can set you up with the great male clients that I have. And men, if you're looking to hire a matchmaker, you can hire Carm, you can hire me. All of her information will be in the show notes. Thank you very much. And thank you for joining me on the Asian Dating Podcast. Bye, everybody.